Bush did 9/11.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. All right, so now we got it working after numerous technical difficulties. Because Discord is a piece of trash, and Skype is an equal piece of trash, but with a completely different set of problems.
But the problems work for us better.
It's slightly less annoying problems when you're trying to record.
Mm-hmm.
As it is, I feel like there's no, like, you know, talking to your friend on the computer thing that works. I feel like all of them suck in some different way. Like, you know, there's just how fuzzy and bad the quality is on Skype and how much of the internet it takes up. And then on Discord, even though it takes less internet, it
sounds better.
It sounds better. It's super inconsistent. Cuts out
all the time.
Every 30 seconds, or sometimes it just has such a hard time connecting that you call someone and they can't hear you until like the 4th or 5th time that you call them.
Mm-hmm. So if anybody knows of a better one, let us know.
And then they'll just send you a bunch of links to viruses.
I can't wait to have them on my computer. I can't wait.
I can't wait to... Hey, you know what I've been thinking of doing lately?
What?
Just as like a weird, fun nostalgia thing for a video.
Hmm?
I was thinking of maybe just doing like a video where I just play through the entirety of the Spider-Man PS1 game, since I can beat it in like 2 hours.
Do a speed run?
Not really necessarily a speed run, just it's kind of a short game if you know what you're doing, and then maybe just throw in all kinds of fun stuff, since I know a lot about like the behind the scenes on that game, and there's all kinds of extra content you could throw in for fun.
Yep.
Like this cut scene at the end where Stan Lee gives like a sort of epilogue speech, or you know this really pre-alpha footage from it that was released in like 1998.
Well, since we're on your channel, Xavier's viewers, comment below, what do you think? Should he play Spider-Man PS1?
With all kinds of like extra features thrown in, because like I could even try and find a... What I want to do also is, because there was this cool thing that I found out the other day on Twitter, is that in order to promote the first Spider-Man movie, they like recreated maybe like the first like 50% of that game with like all new assets. Like it's like
Unity or something, or like Unreal or whatever.
No, like they I believe it was the same engine. They just had like a much better... What am I trying to say? Like the character models and the environments all look better.
Better
like they
textures?
just better textures on everything. Kind of like how they did that remake of Halo Combat Evolved, where they just
like
retextured the whole thing.
Cool.
Yeah, but they did that like 2 years after it came out, and it was called like Spider-Man Kellogg's Edition, because it was put in cereal boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't have an official release as a game. It was just... If you got a cereal box, you got like 50% of this game that existed already, but different, and that sounds super cool. And someone on Twitter showed it to me, and I was like, damn, I wish I had like a chance to play that. But I don't know if there's like an online version of it, like if someone's put it up somewhere, or if like the disc is like available for like a reasonable price.
That reminds me of the online project to recreate Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic in, like, Unity or Unreal or something.
How's that going? Because
I don't know.
I can speak from personal experience that fan projects like that have a hard time occasionally.
I don't know. I think that it's doing better than that fan project, because it's not a new game. It's an established game, but they're just retexturing it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to actually ever become a thing.
What have they been working on it, or did they just say they wanted to?
They're working on it. The latest articles that I can see came out last February, but there was some stills and some footage from it.
Okay. That's cool. Well, how different is the gameplay? Is it just the same sort of,
I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it, but
Could be worth researching. It would be neat. You know what would be fun is if you like they got it done.
Well, there's a first-person view for sure.
Neat.
And that's different because the original was strictly a third-person game.
Yeah, I remember because we played it at in the cafeteria at lunch together once, and I've also been watching your Let's Play of it.
Well, that's KOTOR 2, not KOTOR 1.
Oh yeah, okay.
But
so
they look very similar. They're very similar looking games.
Because they came out really close together, right?
They're on the same engine. They have a lot of the same assets, but it's just that the new one has a different story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember it. I mean, I tried playing it a little. It seemed a little clunky, but I had fun with it either way. I mean, it was kind of interesting seeing like protoform Mass Effect. Because
there were some articles that came out last February, but since then, there hasn't been anything else.
Damn. You know, a lot of people keep asking me...
The guy has a Twitter that... No, a Twitch. That he sometimes streams.
Does he stream himself just working on it?
Something like that.
That's cool.
Like the Star Wars The Sessions. But, it's called Knights of the Old Republic Aperion. Conversion mod. Yeah.
That sounds
Unreal
cool.
Engine 4, yeah. So, that might be cool.
People keep asking me what happened with... Speaking of Unreal Engine 4, people keep asking me what happened with the Spider-Man game.
You want to talk about it or no?
I feel like it's been long enough and I'm not quite as, like, ticked about everything. And it's kind of semi-resolved itself.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the director of the project was doing a lot of stuff to make a lot of people very angry, myself included. He got everyone so riled up that they just kind of didn't want to work on it anymore, and apparently had kind of pushed people the wrong way before, and a lot of people, like, as soon as the video came out, a lot of people contacted me. I'm not going to go with, like, really specifics, but a lot of people contacted me going, hey, I used to work on the game. Then a bunch of really bad stuff happened because of, you know, just stuff and shady business practices. And we got into basically a giant argument about whether or not the game should still be, like, being advertised publicly because we were worried about getting a cease and desist. And then that didn't really work out. I ended up getting, like, really ticked off at the guy and yelling at him just because he had, like, said and done a lot of really mean stuff. And then it kind of just devolved into just, like, a screaming match, and I got upset, and I was just like, alright, this isn't worth my time. I'm just gonna be done. And then I left... And then I guess that just kind of, like, signaled this giant crazy thing where everything started falling apart and everyone was yelling at each other and throwing blame about stuff. And then the source code leaked and then people started sharing it around. And then someone started accusing me of doing that even though I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it got really bad. And then they found out that the next day that there was a cease and desist letter that had come, like, a couple days before. And the the higher-ups in the project were like, should we tell everyone working on it that we've been cease and desisted or not? Or then there's kind of like this whole, like, moral slippery area where he's like, well, we could just work in secret and just not tell them. And then everyone was...
Fun idea.
And then, you know, I'll commend him on the fact that he eventually caved and didn't do that and was like, all right, let's tell the guys, let's be honest with them. And then told everyone that the project was going to fall apart, basically. And then, yeah. So, legal troubles and behind-the-scenes drama.
Fun. So...
And, yeah, it sucks, but... a lot of the ex-developers are working on new stuff now.
Such as?
Well, actually, they asked me if I had any ideas for, like, a new IP we could use, like if we were going to do an original project. So, I was like, well, I wrote this book that I've been trying to get published for a long time, and I kind of, like, originally conceived it as a video game, so I've always wanted to have it be, like, adapted. So, Yeah, I think they're gonna, because my novel is titled "I Am Become Pestilence," and
which is the dorkiest title I've ever seen.
Well, yeah,
it is really dorky.
Let's see you come up with better. It's a play on the
probably be worse.
Biblical thing. I am become. It's a play on like I am become death, but using one of the other 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
It's just silly.
Yeah, well, you know, what else could you call it? Just depression,
funny,
murder, blood fantasy.
It's kind of hard to come up with a title without knowing what you wanted it to be about.
Okay, well that's fair enough, but yeah, it's a book I've been writing since like I don't know, like 9th grade was when I started getting really into working on it, and then finished it about like late 10th grade, early 11th grade. And then I've just been editing it and having it, like, showing it to people and having them help me with, like, getting it fixed for the past year, but...
I read a bit of it.
Yeah, and you helped me with some editing stuff, but after showing it to 2 of the English teachers at school and them, like, helping me edit it, both content-wise and just structurally-wise, I think within the next few days it'll be, like, ready, and I was gonna publish it through Amazon.
Fun.
And that takes, like, less than a day, so everyone, be on the lookout. And in the next week or so, I might give updates on, like, Twitter or something about how that goes. But I'm definitely working on it.
It's not published, it's self-published.
Well, yeah, self-published. But still, people will be able to go out and read it, finally. And see what kind of story I can come up with. Like, just completely off the top of my head. Yeah, but anyway, those... game development folks, I think they call themselves Waste Tech now.
They're folkies.
Them folklores. They were like, hey, we could just make a game out of it. And based on how the previous project went with them, because they have a different project director now. The old guy's off doing whatever. But I don't know. I'm just hesitant to trust people again because I have this, like, paranoia that someone's gonna just jack my story and then try and make the game without me or something. So I want to get it published before I let them do it, because at that point it doesn't really matter what kind of involvement I have or what'll happen with it, because like people will know, it'll go on public record, it'll be researchable that I did indeed come up with the story, and at that point it'll just be like a fan game that I could just, like, give advice for. So, you know, trying to get projects off the ground, but it'll be a horror novel and probably a survival horror game if both come out. So, be on the lookout for that, audience peoples.
So, yeah, that's all fun and exciting, but I think what we really all want to talk about is Neil Breen's Fateful Findings.
Oh yeah, we watched that yesterday.
Yeah, I had a party at my house the other night, and this person attended, and we watched Fateful Findings. For the record, this is my very first Neil Breen film that I've ever seen. And,
how was it, my boy?
Have you ever seen a Neil Breen film before this?
I actually saw Fateful Findings before with a different set of friends. I watched it with Will and Kyle. Mm-hmm. Because the whole thing was on YouTube.
Yeah, it still is on YouTube. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you're reading this, put it in the description, Xavier.
I forgot. Do I have to do the time codes thing too, since this is going on mine? Shit.
Okay. And the comment section is going to bug you if you don't do it, because I've called you out on it now.
Okay, hold on. All right. How about this? I'll just type it. I'll write it down, because I have a thing here. I'll just write down whenever we change topics.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. So
let's talk about Fateful Findings. So, before this movie, I knew who Neil Breen was. I watched Fanboy Flicks was the first YouTube channel that I watched that covered it, and he talked about I Am Here Now, and then Fateful Findings, and then of course I've also watched RedLetterMedia's video with Max Landis where they watch Double Down. And
he's the best at it.
Yeah. The unique scene where Rich Evans has to explain the plot of Neil Breen's Double Down is one of the most hilarious bits of YouTube entertainment you'll ever see.
Oh yeah, RedLetterMedia are a couple of big inspirations for us. There's some...
You have even if you did not hear or watch their review of a movie, I watch their reviews of a movie and then listen to what you say about the movie, and more often than not, it's very similar.
Yeah, okay, even if I haven't watched their reviews, but I've still watched the same movie, I often have the same opinion. It's kind of like...
It's hilarious.
It's funny, because I keep, like, missing the Half in the Bag episodes as they come out, and then, like, I'll give my opinion on a movie, and then you could almost, like, track it down in the video, hear them say, like, the same thing.
Are you sure you haven't watched Half in the Bag?
Yeah, I swear, it keeps happening by accident.
So, yeah, Fateful Findings. Boy,
no, actually, some people, like, quick sidebar. People in the comments of my Arkham Knight review kept saying that their video pre-rec Arkham Knight made a couple of the same points. Even though I had not seen that, because I had stopped watching pre-rec, like, the year before, because I was so upset about how bad of a review they gave Alien Isolation. And I was like, well, you know, if you're just gonna be mean to every game you're not good at, that's fine. And I just stopped watching them. So I did not watch their Arkham Knight video. I just tend to have the same opinions as them on things. Yeah. We're very like-minded people.
Especially with you and Jay Bauman, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, because he's the less cynical of the group.
And Mike is more like me, but not all the time.
Yeah. And then
Rich Evans...
There's a little bit of Rich Evans in all of us.
Yeah. Rich Evans is amazing.
He's our favorite.
Yeah. So let's talk about Neil Breen's Fateful Findings. Boy, was this movie a trip. I have never seen anything quite like Neil Breen's Double Down before seeing Neil Breen's Double Down. What about you?
It was, well, I've seen a couple of really notoriously bad movies now, just because over the years, our group of friends in high school is like, let's all just go to our friend's house, hang out in his, like, very large basement with no shortage of spaces to sit, huddled around a TV, just giggling at movies like Birdemic or The Room or Neil Breen movies.
I never got in on that, so, you know. Yay.
Often it would devolve into us arguing because some people wanted to take a break and stop watching the movie marathon, because the whole idea was we'll stay up the entire night and watch bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
But then everyone would end up arguing on what to actually do, because someone would be like, well, why don't we go walk down to, like, the local Walmart? And it's like, dude, that's like a 40-minute walk, and it's like 3 a.m., and they go, all right, then let's go for a walk in the park. And it was just, yeah, it would turn into arguing. And then someone would be like, well, let's play video games for a little while. And it's like, dude, we set up like a concrete schedule so we could watch all these movies over the course of like 12 hours. Like, we actually did the math. And it's like, no, we'll just take a break. Or sometimes people would just go hang out in the back corner of the room. And then I'd get yelled at for not watching The Love Guru.
Oh.
Like, I went and just hung out with Josh in the other side of the room. Because he brought a TV and a PlayStation, so he just played The Last of Us. Everyone's like, why didn't you watch Love Guru, Xavier? You're such a bastard. And I was like,
why would you want to watch Love Guru?
I mean, there's bad movies, and then there's The Love Guru, man.
Then there's Mike Myers.
It's not bad because you can laugh at it. It's just bad. There's nothing in there that's actually funny.
Mike... Stop talking about Mike Myers. We need to talk about Neil Breen. Because Neil Breen is an interesting flavor of bad. And Mike Myers is just bad. So Neil Breen.
Oh, come on. He's okay.
My favorite... So, I want to talk about this because I haven't really seen anybody else talking about this yet. But in Neil Breen's Fateful Findings, if you watch the credits, you know how he does everything himself?
Well, yeah, because it's just like this goofy indie movie run by one guy.
He does everything himself. But in the credits, he comes up with all these fake companies to make it look like his movie was actually made by professionals.
But then he puts his initials in the company titles.
Here, I'm pulling up the movie. Like, here it says, Sound Editors, NJN Sound Association. Casting and Entertainment. Set Design, Cine and Collaboration. Lighting Design, Lighting and Films. Special Makeup Effects, the B&B Effects Studios. BB Location Management. NNN Entertainment Partners. Eats and Eats Film Incorporated. All of those.
That's Eats. Like,
and then after
every
that,
time I look at one of those
words,
in the credits now, my brain just replaces it with Neil or Breen, depending on which letter he put in.
Here's the exact words. Any of the above listed companies in the credits with an N or a B in their name are fictitious. Their work was actually done personally by Neil Breen. So he invented fake companies to put in the credits of his movie to make it look like people actually worked on it instead of him just doing everything.
Doing everything on his, like, Mac laptop that you can see in the background of basically every scene.
So, yeah, Neil Breen, in case you don't know, is an American independent filmmaker who has made a number of mystery, supernatural, thriller, drama, somethings. Their best word to describe them are somethings.
Somethings. Well, I mean,
and
he's clearly very passionate about it.
He is based out of Las Vegas. Of course, why would you be based out of Las Vegas? Because Las Vegas is a terrible place to live.
Well, it's a good place to vacation, but do you like to live there? That would be...
He makes his living as an architect in Las Vegas and funds his films from the money he makes from that profession.
Okay, so Neil Breen is, let's get into, like, we're kind of dancing around the subject. He's a self-absorbed crazy person who loves himself and thinks he's Jesus.
Xavier Mendoza, explain to me the plot of Neil Breen's Fateful Findings.
Well, okay, so, so two kids are running and frolicking out in the forest, right? Having a great time.
Not watched by their parents at all. Just
no parental supervision. They're just chilling, and then they find a mushroom by a tree.
Yeah.
And then the mushroom peels open, and they find a jewelry box inside. And then they find a magic stone and some magic bracelet pieces.
Here's what it is. He finds a magic stone inside the magic mushroom, and he pulls it out. And then the girl that he's with says, "Oh,
it's a magical day.
We need to put something back in the rock mushroom thing." So then there are these beads who are right next to the, random beads that are next to this mushroom in the forest for no reason. And she puts them in there and then uses the rest of them to make a bracelet. And then she writes in her notebook, "It's a magical day." Just takes up a whole page. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and I had a journal, I didn't write "It's a magical day." Did you?
I usually would just write ideas for things. That would be it.
Exactly, that's what I did too. Or I also wrote dumb stories and drew things.
Or I would just maybe I'd write down like small letters about my existential dread, and the coming to terms with the concept of mortality. Mm-hmm. Because I was kind of a fucked up kid. But anyway, so we're getting off topic.
They find the magic rock.
They find the magic stone. Don't interrupt me. I'm telling the story, okay? They find the magic rock. You shut up. And then it cuts to
the future, the present,
undisclosed period of time later, where Neil Breen is the little boy. Because I guess the little girl
grew up.
There's also a scene where she moves away,
but except that she's in cars from the mid 2000s, like 2010 at least, and then it's like Neil Breen is there, and it's like,
and then he awkwardly waves, and then it cuts to Neil Breen, and he's the adult version of the little boy, and He's walking around talking on his cheap LG Sidekick phone.
Yeah, and of course...
That I also used to have one of, I think.
And he's crossing the street despite the fact that there's not really a street light there, but they cut to it, and there's a bunch of people who are going to cross the street, but then in the next shot, there's nobody.
And then he
drops his phone.
He drops his phone and then gets run over by a limo. And then some kind of, like, sexy lady with, like, a mini skirt and high heels whose face is obscured walks out and then puts the stone in his hand. The one that he found as a kid. And then he goes to the hospital and they go, he's comatose, he's dead.
And he's got this really terrible bandage on his face that prevents him from breathing.
Yeah, he's got this weird, like, cast on his head that prevents him from breathing because they put an oxygen mask, 2 different types of oxygen masks on top of it.
The oxygen nose thingies and an oxygen mask.
And the hospital set is clearly his, like, fucking personal office in his house. Because there's carpeted floors.
And there's this one window that you see later on in a different set.
Yeah, you see the same window as his office in the later scenes. And then he miraculously gets back up and he's like, I'm fine. I'm going to go home. And then, despite bleeding all over himself and having a horrible, horrible mangled face... He has sex with his wife in the shower.
In a really bloody shower.
And then it cuts to him just, I'm normal again.
I've got
and then he's like, I don't need these pain pills. And then throws his pain pills into the toilet. And then his wife is like, huh. And then fishes the pain pills out of the toilet.
I need these Jolly Ranchers that he threw in the toilet.
Yeah, because they couldn't get real pills. So she takes them out and then starts taking them and becomes a drug addict in the course of, like, a day. And is, like, super dependent on pain pills now. And then it's like, I need something stronger. And then she accuses him of having an affair. And he's like, no, I'm just hacking the government.
It's some terrible acting. I knew it. There's another woman, isn't there?
Okay, yes. Also, his wife is supposed to be an American woman, but she sounds like she's some foreigner stifling an accent super hard.
And then
but not doing it right.
And then he's also an author who was like a really successful author, but now he's not writing another book, and now he's hacking into the government and corporate secrets. Like,
he's hacking all the banks
or any government, just all the governments and all the corporations across the world.
Oh yeah, he's hacking everything because he can do that even though he has a degree in writing.
He said early on that he had a computer science degree, and having a computer science degree automatically means
you're an expert hacker.
A hacker.
So he spends 90% of the movie just, like, yelling at an agent, I guess, that's like, where's your next book, you lazy shit? You told us you'd have it written by now.
I looked it up, and the actress who plays his wife was born in Poland, grew up in North Africa, and spent the rest of her adolescence in New York, so she's Polish.
That makes sense. Okay, so, yeah, he keeps getting calls from his agent, like, whatever, from, like, a book company that's going, why the fuck haven't you put out the new novel, Dylan? Because that's the character's name. And he goes, I don't have any obligation to do my actual day job.
Because and then I made a lot of money for you.
And then he spends, like, so apparently he doesn't know how, like, doing a job works, if Neil Breen thinks this is okay. And then, he spends 90% of the movie, instead of writing his novel, just hacking the government, and then
no, not the government, but every government.
The government and the banks and the rich people.
And the insurance companies.
He's hacked every 1%er.
Everything.
All of them. Just name someone who has, like,
allow me to explain, like, what he's talking about isn't the plot. It's just something that he talks about during the movie.
Oh yeah, he never really does it.
He just talks about it.
I've hacked the database. You never see him do it,
but and meanwhile,
like, the scenes of him typing at a laptop count.
He's just typing at broken laptops, like,
because he has like 4 laptops on his desk, and he's typing at all of them, and none of them are on. And then he keeps just breaking them and knocking shit over on them.
And then, of course, also when there's also the great scene where he's typing, but the sound effect keeps going after he stopped.
Yeah, because I guess they couldn't get an actual sound effect of him typing in the room when he was typing. They had to digitally add. Does that mean he was just like waving his hands over the keyboard and not even actually making contact?
And then, of course, he while he's supposedly hacking into the government, he also sees a couple of different psychotherapists. One in a giant boardroom where he sits all the way across from him, and the other in like a closet where there are two folding up chairs. And then he also deals with his wife's pain pill addiction, and also his neighbor's alcoholism and weird
underage
daughter who looks like she's in college trying to seduce him. Clearly Neil wrote it. And
yes.
Of course, the growing sexual frustration of the neighbor's couple, and also the doctor that worked on him in the hospital turns out to be his childhood friend because she keeps her notebook around with her all the time. It's a wonderful day.
Or it's a magical day, and he goes, "It's you! I can't believe it!" And then, okay, so his drunk neighbor gets killed by his wife because he spends too much time working on his car and not spending time his pink Ferrari instead of hanging out with her, even though he complains consistently to her that they don't have sex and she doesn't spend time with him. And he's like, "Well, I guess I'll just work on my pink Ferrari because you don't spend time with me." And she's like, "You don't spend time with me because you're always working on the pink Ferrari." And then she's like, pulls out a gun and is gonna shoot up the car and then misses and wings him in the face and kills him. And then Neil Breen comes over and goes, "I can't believe you've committed suicide," because she goes and just awkwardly puts the gun next to him.
And then puts the gun next to him, and then like her daughter's like, "No, you killed him." It's like, no, he killed himself. He killed himself.
You saw him do. Okay, anyway, you can't just convince someone like that.
Like, if this is sounding slightly incoherent, us talking about the plot is because that's the whole movie.
Okay,
so
Neil Breen's wife overdoses on pills because he's cheating on her, even though he swears he's not, because he's hanging out with the doctor lady that was his childhood friend.
And they're awkwardly undressing each other and giving each other grandma pecks is what I call them. Is when you
like the most
when your grandma says, "Oh, give me a kiss," and you're like that.
"I don't wanna."
Except they're supposed to be in love. But they're giving each other grandma pecks.
And then now that his wife's dead, he hangs out in his house, and then the government tries to kidnap his girlfriend's nurse lady.
Yeah.
And then he saves her by teleporting into a storage container and beating up a government agent. And then he's like, "It's time." And then after a ton of weird imagery about him being naked in a room filled with garbage bags.
In a room covered in garbage bags with his childhood friend.
I guess. But she's an adult version of her, don't worry.
Yeah.
And then
awkward nudity is like...
And then his neighbor's daughter who keeps trying to fuck him is like, "Yo, my mom shot my dad in front of his pink Ferrari and then said it was a suicide." And he goes, "I can't believe it." Which is like his catchphrase. A bunch of laptops get destroyed for no reason. And then he's like, "Okay, it's time to get to the bottom of this." And then the neighbor subplot is never really resolved, I don't think.
And he rescues his girlfriend.
Where he teleports into a shipping container.
From teleporting crossfades.
Yeah.
And then at the end after that, He just goes to a green screen standing in front of some generic government-esque looking building, and he says, "I'm announcing all the government secrets." Like, all the government and the corporate
people have
secrets.
a right to know all the evil secrets that have been done. And then it just cuts to, like, a bunch of Wall Street guys going, "I'm afraid of prison.
I am a Wall Street banker. Now that people know of my evil, I don't want to... I
am afraid to go to prison. They know my crimes."
And then he kills himself.
And then he awkwardly kills himself in a press conference in front of people. And then
I
cuts
am
to
your
some guy going,
congresswoman. I am going to be resigning now because you know of my secrets. And then he goes and then she goes and suffocates herself with car vapors in her garage.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, she does that, and then another guy ODs on pills because he's the president of the bank.
And then the other one hangs himself.
And then a guy hangs himself, and a guy slits his wrists in a bathtub. Then another guy shoots himself on stage, and the audience keeps cheering.
I can look up the credits for these people to show you like what exactly their roles were.
It doesn't matter. They're rich or famous.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna cum it up. There is
You're gonna cum it up?
I'm gonna bring it up because I have it on here.
Okay.
Corporate CEO.
You want to do another take on that line?
That's a role. Corporate CEO, bank president, senator, congresswoman, Wall Street broker, insurance president, and they all killed themselves.
And then the audience cheers.
Because suddenly and they used stock footage of a camera instead of, instead
of footage of a crowd.
Yeah.
And also it's in a very bad looking green screen in front of not the White House, but some building that looks
like a generically
generic Washington D.C. building. I think it's like a
generic government building.
I swear it looks like a library.
Yeah, it like a library or something, but Neil Breen's fifth feature film, Twisted, is going to be made in starting to film in August.
Did it get funded? Because I know he had that GoFundMe thing or Kickstarter.
It got funded $500 out of $50,000 goal.
Why did he want $50,000?
But he's gonna make it.
Oh, okay. Well,
he has a Twitter, and he doesn't.
Is he aware of people thinking he's a crazy egomaniac who makes himself the most talented, and intelligent person ever in all of his movies?
Okay, so you know how Luc Besson's Twitter is like hashtag this, hashtag that?
Because he's an old man who doesn't know how to use Twitter, and it's very endearing, like your grandpa using Facebook. It's like,
here's what he does: pass through my fifth at film. Passthroughfilm.com, at film, at filmmaking, at cinema, at love making movie, at film lifestyle.
But those aren't hashtags; those are @s, and those aren't real Twitter accounts.
He just fills his tweets with @s instead of hashtags.
But those are he's adding things that don't exist.
Maybe they do.
It's just they're @cinema.
At film. Let's see. Let's go on Twitter. What is @film?
We'll look it up. Let's do a little investigating, guys. All right, this is our
film. A theater near you.
So there's.
It's just some random Twitter. Some guy who likes movies, I guess.
That's probably what all of those are. Is just some random Twitter that has nothing to do with anything he's really necessarily.
He just tweets about movies, and that's about it.
Okay. Now, what else does Neil Breen tweet about? Does he give progress updates on his films?
Not really. He just said, "I'm gonna start filming my fifth feature, Twisted, as prod dear writer in August!" ! At filmmaking, at film lifestyle.
Okay.
Thanks for buying Fateful Findings. My third feature film is prod dear writer at fatefulfinding.biz. Great audience reactions.
It wasn't a great audience reaction. Are you serious?
Like, I can tell you, like, the ending is so bizarre for Fateful Findings, and the whole movie feels like a bad dream. But the ending is just so out of left field. It's like the ending of 2001, but stupider. And I'm just sitting there going...
And not artistically, well
Remember
produced.
What was happening? We were all just, like, crying and laughing and just freaking out because just how insane it was.
It's definitely a great movie to watch at parties. Like, if you have just a ton of people hanging out with you for the day and you don't really have anything to do, just throw on any random Neil Breen movie. I think they're all on YouTube.
Well,
except for the one that shows his balls.
That's Double Down, right?
Yes.
Well, we get it. We get a hint of it when his gown flops open, but we don't get as much.
Oh yeah, and then he walks into an awkwardly placed like JPEG of a hallway because green screens.
Green screens.
Green screens. It was so fucking funny. Is when he was walking into this hallway and the angle was like completely wrong because it was like a diagonal down view of a hallway, but the camera was looking up at it, so it was just like, is that hallway on the ceiling?
It's bad, but yeah, there's so much cringeworthy nudity in this movie.
Yeah, where it's very clearly Neil Breen just trying to like mac on people he thought were attractive and are like, yeah, come be a part of my my big Hollywood movie I'm working on. They're like, are you sure it's like an actual big Hollywood movie or not some piece of shit that you're using to get all of us naked? Like, was this movie conceived as a ploy to just get naked women to hug him?
Awkwardly hug him.
Awkwardly hug him in the shower while he has a torrent of blood shooting out of his face?
Yeah, so the other link that you need to put in the description is Rich Evans Explains Double Down, because it is hilarious.
Oh yeah, people should definitely watch that. So yeah, that's I think we just spent something like 20 minutes talking about Double Down.
It is like, I've seen Troll 2.
Or I mean the other one.
I've seen bad movies before, but you haven't seen a Neil Breen movie before until you see a Neil Breen movie.
It's something completely new. It's a new type of brand where it's not completely terrible, like cringy garbage, like
it's fascinating garbage.
It's fascinating because you're like, does he know what he's like? Is he aware of this? Does he see how this comes across? Because I know there's people like that one guy, something Nguyen. James Nguyen. He's so like completely deluded that he thinks Birdemic is a really great movie and people love it. Like, he doesn't realize they're being ironic about it. So he's just like super ecstatic that this many people love his movie, and I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I if it makes him happy, whatever, you know. But then Neil Breen, I can't tell if he's aware or not because he seems to be at least competent enough to know like basic things. Like, he's an architect, like he has a job that requires you to be intelligent.
Look, Neil Breen, if you want to be taken seriously in the future, first thing you need to do, hire an editor.
Like, someone who actually knows what they're doing, and stop just awkwardly placing shots in the middle of things because you can't have... Like, he knows the basics,
Less
right?
feet shots, okay?
Yeah, stop pointing the camera at people's shoes. And, okay, so he knows the basics. You can't have one shot of, like, a character transition to another shot of them in a different scene in basically the same position or place, right? Like, if two people are sitting on a couch and talking... You can't transition to another scene, like, just awkwardly cut to the same, like, basic camera angle with them sitting there in different outfits, just, like, having a different conversation. Like,
You need to have he gets the basics.
So he just puts in a random shot of something else that has nothing to do with it in there, and it's just
but it doesn't really transition.
But it doesn't it's like...
It's like he shows a picture of his desk in between two shots of him sitting on the couch with his wife.
It's very awkward. Just stop doing it. Or better yet, don't have two scenes in a row in your script where people are just doing the same exact thing
sitting
they were
on
doing
a
in
couch,
the last scene.
Talking about drug abuse.
Sitting on a couch, walking and talking. Sitting on a couch, walking and talking. Walking to a window. Shot, reverse shot. Like, it's so bad. It's Star Wars prequel level, like, cinematography and blocking.
It is fascinatingly terrible. And watch it. I highly recommend it.
Okay, so enough about Neil Breen. We've talked about him for a good 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. Currently, I'm playing Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfects, and boy,
Why?
is this... Well, because people kept recommending it for like a review, because it's a superhero video game.
Why?
It's a Marvel video game.
Why? And I
have reviewed. Well, I mean, I would review more DC video games if they would actually make them.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why?
Are you seriously doing this right now? Are you doing this bit?
Yes.
Are you fucking 5?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I've been kind of stocking up on random comic book video games lately, just because I want to potentially review one of them. I know the next one I'm for sure doing is Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because I have the full script already done for that. But I have Hulk Ultimate Destruction, X-Men Wolverine's Revenge, Marvel Nemesis, and I was gonna look into getting a couple more, just because there's a store by the mall where we live that just...
Where you live?
Where I live, because you're like 40 minutes away. Yeah. But that mall has just nothing but used video games, like, for like a whole aisle.
My mall doesn't have anything that cool. Well,
yeah,
besides, you can't really go to it because it was damaged by hail, and it's been pretty much closed for months now.
Oh. Well, you see, it's like a weird variety store where it just has a little bit of everything. Like, it has comic books, it has toys, it has,
video
for
games?
sure, tons and tons of video games.
Video games.
And then just fun stuff like nerdy collectible shit. Like, it's nerd heaven, man. They got a little bit of everything in there. Like, whatever you're into.
Did you nerdgasm?
Yes. And they got tons of movies. Like, if you're looking for, like a season DVD of some TV show that was on in 1995, going there's, like, a great bet. So
they have Babylon 5?
Maybe. I actually haven't looked for that, but next time I go, I could totally check it out.
So, yeah,
And, yeah, I was thinking about it as, like, a fun idea, because, like, Hulk Ultimate Destruction is fun, but there are 2 other Hulk video games that came, like, before and after.
The Amazing Bulk video game?
Yes, with the big purple CGI monster.
Yeah.
But, there's the one that came out immediately after the 2003 movie, and then the one that came out after the,
2009 movie.
The 2008 movie. 2009? Okay.
I'm intentionally misleading you.
Okay, and then,
just so you know.
So I was thinking, like, maybe I could do, like, a Hulk video game retrospective, since there's just...
There's just 2?
Well, there's just the 3 of them, as far as I know, in terms of, like, 3D graphics ones. I'm sure there's probably, like, old, like, NES ones. Platformers or something, or, like, a beat-em-up. But, generally, I stay away from those, because, like... I think, like, PS1 games are about as far back as I'm willing to go, because I either don't really find a ton of... Like, I understand their merit as games, but I don't find a ton of entertainment personally in, like, classic side-scroller sort of stuff, like NES and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm also just really bad at them.
So, yeah,
Like, even when I'm good at them, I don't have fun, but 99% of the time I'm not anyway, so...
So what do you think? You're going to do that, like... So your video schedule, now that you've come out with Deadpool, is going to be another bad comic art, right? You're working on that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We've got
a new theme for it.
And then you're going to be doing Ultimate Alliance, right?
Yes, and Ultimate Alliance should be... Well, I also have Ultimate Alliance, too, but I don't have a script written for that. But yeah. Eventually.
So you're going to develop... Okay, and, cool. Yeah.
So I got stuff in the works. Plenty of superhero game reviews, and then I also wanted to do maybe a cartoon or 2.
If I'll be allowed to do the updates, I'm working on 2 scripts right now that I'm kind of toying with. Is that I'm working on the idea for, like, I don't know who it was, but there was a guy on Twitter who reached out to us after we pitched Spider-Man 3 and said, hey, if you want to draw a thing for us, we could. And I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm thinking about taking his offer, and I'm working on my own version of Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah, like you're writing your own idea of what that script could be like.
I'm writing my own plot, and my idea for that... Check out Belated Media's If the Prequels Were Good videos for examples of what I'm going for. But it's like rewriting the movie as if I had been the screenwriter to make it a bit better. And there are major changes in my script.
Yeah. Well, you know, that guy that contacted us, actually, and I showed you this yesterday or the day before, actually has started working on animating, like, a sort of, not even just storyboards, just, like, animating, like, a sort of cartoon clip of us talking about Spider-Man 3, like, our proposed version of the story.
Our podcast version, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool and really professional looking. Like the animation in it looked great, and he had all kinds of really fun jokes in there.
So I think I'm just gonna work on polishing my script for that for a while, and then I'm just gonna hand it over to him and put that one on the back burner while I work on other stuff. And the other idea that I've been toying with is that I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who lately. So, you know, with the whole new doctor, woman doctor thing, I've started thinking, like, because I haven't liked Doctor Who for a long time.
It doesn't matter if the Doctor's a woman if the show's not been great for 4 or 5 years regardless.
It peaked in like 07, 08, and then it's gone downhill ever since.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Where as soon as wasn't it as soon as David Tennant left, the quality just dived super hard? The thing is,
as soon as David Tennant left, the showrunner Russell T Davies also left, and Stephen Moffat picked up the show running. And
okay.
You can immediately tell the difference because not only does the Doctor regenerate, but like Russell T Davies, who over the previous 4 seasons had developed all these side characters and all these fun stories that we have, like previous companions would show up for a one-off storyline, or we'd have all these side characters on Earth that we liked that we'd keep running into. And all of them went out the window when Stephen Moffat took over, and his side characters for the Doctor were not nearly as good.
I haven't watched any of Doctor Who except for like a couple of random episodes, and it just wasn't my bag.
Look, Doctor Who is not good. It's not Star Trek, it's not Babylon 5. It's not good writing and good. It's not about the good writing and good acting. It's just it's silly science fiction fun.
So, it's a kids show.
Yeah, it is. But, well, it's kind of like a kids show for adults.
Because it's mostly... Well, okay, like, we've discussed it before, but I watched, like, the first episode, and I know that's not a great
The very first
gauge of quality.
episode is a bad episode to start out.
The very first episode was, like, just so completely wrong for me. Like, everything in it just bugged me. I hated all the characters.
Look...
I didn't think the Doctor himself was particularly charismatic. Like, the actor was just making him kind of
Here's the episode that I recommend you start on. It is season 4 called Voyage of the Damned. It is an episode where the Doctor just said goodbye to one of his companions and he's on his own. And then it's a Christmas special because Doctor Who does.
Doesn't he
Christmas
go
specials.
on like a space Titanic?
It goes on a space Titanic cruise, and of course because the ship is called Titanic, things go wrong.
Because they ripped that off from a Futurama episode?
Well, did the Futurama episode come out before December 25th, 2007?
Yes, by a lot. It came out in, like, fucking 2001.
Except that this is not funny, but it's good.
Okay, alright.
And that's the episode that I recommend you watch. A lot of other people say that Blink, a Season 3 episode, is good, because it's entirely from the point of view of some random other person looking in on the Doctor's world. So that's a good starter too if you don't have as much time.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I know David Tennant. Like after seeing him as Kilgrave, he's definitely
David Tennant is the best Doctor by far.
He's fantastic in whatever role. Like I've seen him in Hamlet, for example. He was great there.
Except that he's like. It's like Kilgrave, except less evil, and he has a better sense of humor.
Okay, so yeah, because I really enjoyed him and Jessica Jones, but a lot of people are like, it's so hard to see him as a villain just because they know him so much from, being the doctor, but like he just nailed it. Like having it be my first exposure to him as an actor, I think he was fantastic in a villain role, and I kind of wish he would do that kind of thing more often.
I know he's also on Broadchurch, which I haven't watched.
I see it on Netflix all the time, but I don't ever actually. Is it on Netflix? Am I thinking of the right show?
I don't know if it's on Netflix.
I know he's in some kind of like buddy cop detective thing where it's like a police procedural.
That might be Broadchurch because it's a police procedural.
Okay. Boy, I forgot to keep taking notes about what we've been talking about. So the past 16 minutes, I'm just completely lost.
So yeah, those are the videos that I'm kind of working on right now. They're both in sort of the script writing phase, though. So yeah.
I have scripts done. I just need to like settle down and actually begin like getting gameplay
I have scripts done for I have scripts done for X-Men reviews, but I want to do something else before I come back to the X-Men well. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just be the X-Men guy, like how Xavier is just the Spider-Man guy.
I'm breaking out of it. I did a Deadpool video. People liked it. It got a decent amount of views.
People really liked Alien Week, though.
Oh yeah, everyone loved Alien Week. Alien Week was like the deciding factor in making that passive-aggressive turkey video.
I love Turkey Troop.
I tolerate Turkey Troop. It's not my best work. I don't like it.
Although it's still ironic that the Couch Potatoes Alien Covenant is still the highest viewed Couch Potatoes of any Couch Potatoes. But it's one of your lowest viewed videos.
That's what... That's kind of infuriating in two different ways, because I think Couch Potatoes is a great show and deserves more attention.
2,000 views is the most it's ever gotten.
Wow. Well, let's see if this podcast will make it over, like, what, 350?
These typically get 300.
I mean, it will be on my channel. Here's the thing. We haven't really talked about anything particularly, like, crazy and shocking, so we can't put, like, a dumb, like...
Teaser.
Clickbait title.
Yeah.
So... Say something shocking that will get people to click on the video. Well, you can't just say Neil Breen, because that...
Well, you said Bush did 9/11, so there's that.
I cut that part out.
Bush did 9/11.
Okay.
What else?
I've been watching a lot of that show Prison Break lately. It's pretty cool, actually. I didn't like it when I tried to watch it, like, 4 years ago, but now I do like it.
I don't watch it. I had a coworker at the pool last summer that he was super into Prison Break, but I never got into it.
Well, what I appreciate about it is that the premise tries to be more than just the title, because there is indeed a prison break in the show, but there's also a lot of other stuff. Because the premise could have very easily just been a guy gets sent to prison, then tries to leave, but it's a lot more complicated than that. And makes the show more interesting in that it has more to do after the first season when they finally get out of the prison. Because I was apprehensive to start watching it.
The Prism.
The Prism. I was apprehensive to start watching it because I was like, well, what am I going to do for the 3 seasons following it if they just get out of the prison? Like, what do they do after that? It's not really Prison Break. It's just... I don't know. But no, they actually handled it very well.
In the background behind you?
Yes, someone is mowing their lawn in the background behind me.
Why?
Because it's a Sunday. People do chores.
No, they don't.
Okay.
No, they don't.
That's fair.
Nobody except for you.
Damn, you got me there. There's a lot of weird, awkward pauses in our conversations where I'll just say... Like, you'll ask me a very strange, dumb question. I'll give you a serious answer. And then you'll say something else strange and dumb. And then I'll say something else strange and dumb. And then we're just very quiet for a few minutes.
Yeah.
What a great group dynamic. Good work, everyone.
Yeah, we're the best.
We're an expert at just talking for an hour. Actually, holy shit, it's been an hour. We can shut this thing
off. Talking without saying anything at all.
Yay, the podcast is over. It's been an hour. I can finally go make myself a pizza.